got one brain. Like when you realize that your brain has been damaged, you have to stop, and you have to make that the priority of your your well-being. And I found out with Goldberg when he kicked me in the head that a year later that I still had problems with headaches and vision and balance, and I still have balance issues today if I ride my bicycle or I'm doing stuff. I got to be careful because a lot of my balance issues they never were sorted out after he rang my bell. It was always a problem.
Yeah.
It's like dropping a TV set. They don't work the same after you drop them a couple of times.
Interesting analogy. Are you? Do you communicate, or have you communicated with him since your that situation where you got the concussion?
Oh yeah, we've talked many times. He's always been very sincere and genuine. I think when he's apologized to me countless times about it and feels terrible about it. But in saying that, I also wish that he'd been a little more careful.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but it's not. It's inexcusable to kick somebody the way he kicked me. It's not acceptable, and I blame more than blaming. Bill doesn't do much good because I don't think Bill was the guy that at fault. I really think that if I remember how things were in WCW, a lot of the guys that were give him the big pat on the back and slap him with the clipboard on the back of the trunks and tell him what a great match he had. When he just kept mowing guys down, and Goldberg hurt a lot of guys. I remember Kurt Hennig talking to me about how hurt he was from being speared every night by Goldberg, and I remember Haku he body slammed Haku on his head straight down, almost broke his neck, and just different things. And it's like we're not crash test dummies. We're professional wrestlers, but we're human beings too, and you can't just kick somebody as hard as you can in the head and expect them to be okay. There's got to be measure to those things, and I think Goldberg never understood that it was all the guys going in there making him look good every night that is why he was over, and it wasn't about him. It was about the guys that he was hurting, and he was hurting a lot of guys. And even with me and Bill, one of the last words I said to him before I went out to the ring with him that night was, I said, whatever you do, don't hurt me. And it's like, he went in there and he hurt me, and he hurt me bad, and it cost me millions of dollars and it was just out of my pocket, and, it changed my life forever. I think it was, for sure, a direct lead into me having a stroke a year later. But I don't really have any bitterness towards Bill at all. I really think that, like Kevin Sullivan and some of those nuts that were hanging around telling everyone what to do, those guys are more irresponsible because, they've been around. They're supposed to be the guys in charge, and they weren't schooling Bill on what he needed to know.
Things like the Goldberg accident, kicking you in the head, would probably be lesser likely to happen if he had had some of the same opportunities, which he didn't.
Oh, for sure.
That I
think if Bull Goldberg worked for my dad, just as an example, if he just passed through the Calgary territory, we would have straightened him out a lot and taught him how to, that it's not a business about hurting guys, it's a business about working with guys. But in WCW, with guys like Kevin Sullivan and the nitwits they had running around there that were telling guys what to do, most of the guys in that kind of role and that were telling guys what to do were guys that never made it. I always thought, here's Kevin Sullivan telling me what to do in my match, and kind of trying to think of a finish at the top of his head. And clearly while I'm talking to him, I'm going, this guy's not a big star, never a guy that never drew money, has never done anything, but he's given guys direction. And I found that was the whole problem in WC, right down to Bischoff, who never had a clue. There's been a few more clueless idiots in the wrestling business than Eric Bischoff, just for sort of straight-up knowledge about what to do and what not to do in a wrestling ring. He's pretty close to an imbecile.
You never had any, it didn't seem like they had any definitive plans for you. You come off WWE television after that Montreal thing in '97, and man, if there was a hotter guy, a more talked about guy, but so it didn't seem like when you got there that other than the shock value of you coming out, I never figured out what the hell they were going to do with you.
They never had a clue. You know what? I think there was a lot of sabotage in all of that. I think that it's safe to say now that Hogan and Bischoff basically brought me there to sit me on the bench for the rest of the time I was there, the rest of my career. I think there was never any intention to really utilize me to draw money, and it's too bad because in the year and a half, 2 years, 6 months after I was injured from Goldberg, you know, Bret Hart versus Hulk Hogan might have turned that company around. It might have saved things for them, you know. But then even before that, they could have booked me with Hogan a long time. We would have done some business, me and Hulk Hogan, and it was right there. It was money in the bank, and it would have been a good experience, I think, for fans, and it would have been a good experience for me, and probably would have been a good wrestling experience for Hogan. And we never ever got to do it just because they were too stupid to know what to do.
I'll ask our audience, what do you guys think the most powerful weapon in wrestling is? And they'll say, you know, tombstone pile driver or a sharpshooter, or, you know, whatever. I said, no, you're all wrong. It's called the eraser. And so they think that's some sort of like a Japanese nerve hold, you know, the eraser. It's just on the other end of a pencil. And if the guy in charge wants you to move somewhere else, he can erase your name. You're recast. It's like a casting agent. You're in a movie. You're doing fiction, and you're going to be killed in the first scene because of the eraser. And I think that they went there. They got you from WWE, thinking it would weaken WWE so badly that they accomplished what they wanted by signing you, without knowing what they were going to do with you and how much money you could have made them if there was a plan. So,
well, you know, it haunts me. You know, always haunt me that I can remember talking to Vince and him saying to me, and for all I know, you might have even said the same thing back in those days because I remember you were around and part of the office. But I remember Vince saying, he goes, WCW would never know what to do with Bret Hart.
Oh, yeah, I think we did say that. And
you know, I remember that when I signed. It's like I knew they didn't know what to do with me, that I had no real... I wasn't that thrilled about going there. I didn't really want to go there. I thought I was forced to go there, so I went where the only place I could go. But I always knew that it was going to be tough when I got there, and probably would never be the same. And I just never knew that they were as stupid as they were. You know, especially when I look at the business today, I think there was so much potential with the two companies, and the wrestlers themselves had so much leverage. You know, like today, there's no leverage anymore. Wrestlers have very little position as far as leverage as trying to negotiate a contract or something like that. You know, you're much more expendable. You know, it's their way or no way now. And you know, back in those days, it was, you know, if someone like a Bret Hart was going to leave and go to WCW, it could have a huge effect on things. And same with somebody from WCW leaving to go to WWF. It was, you know, hey, did you hear so and so? He's in WWF now. So it got a lot of fresh blood kind of cooking in both companies, and it was good for the business. At least it was good for the wrestlers. And Eric Bischoff dropping that ball, he dropped the futures for so many wrestlers that changed everything in a negative way.